This is from the Mina Show. Mina Kimes, Chris Long on the 2024 Browns. They put the Browns in the flawed but feisty tier of teams for 2024.
The Browns, outside of the quarterback, have arguably the best roster in the entire NFL.
Here's what I have, because you sent me initially, if a couple things go right, the Browns were in there, and I'm glad you changed it because I have written down, if only one thing goes right. It's literally if this guy remembers how to play
Flawed
football.
by feisty is a football assessment, by the way. Just tell you about the team. But the team is awesome, dude. The team is so good.
That roster is incredible.
So good.
It's incredible. I like the coach.
Yeah, me too.
So, the Browns, I would put, honestly, the Browns and the Jets, to me, are very different, but kind of the same in their potential, in my opinion.
Arguably the two best defenses in the NFL.
Jeff, I think we've talked about this. What people that are rating Watson so low aren't realizing is he hasn't been able to string games together. He missed the first 11. So by the time he comes back in week 12, everybody else is in mid-season form, and he hadn't played in 2 years. Then last year it was play a game, miss 3, play a game, miss a couple, there's no sense of rhythm. He can't get into any rhythm.
He is 8-4 as this team's starter, and as both of them just said, he may have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And again, I see the Cincinnati Bengals on top of the Browns. The Cincinnati Bengals defense is terrible. The most important player on the Cincinnati Bengals defense is gone. Their linebackers, we have watched time and time again. We've watched Wyatt Teller, Joel Bitonio either drop them into the ground on first contact, or we've watched them drive them 15 yards down the field. Joe, I just don't get it. If we are basing these things and we are doing these rankings, it better be on every facet of every team. And, if flawed but feisty, okay, but he went 8-4 last year. Do we know that Joe Burrow is 100% healthy? Their defense has gotten worse. You see some of these rankings, and it's all just based on one thing and one thing only. Meanwhile, they try to say it's based on the whole team. That's the part I have. If it's based on the whole team, there's a lot of teams who have great defense and would like to replace their quarterback. Carolina would prefer to have Deshaun Watson as a quarterback right now than Young. You don't know what you truly have in that guy yet. The fact is, he was 8-4, and he was cooking pretty well. And the last we saw him was going to basically be his statement game as the franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And I will say it again. I will say it today, tomorrow, next week. The Cleveland Browns would have went just as far last year, if not further, with Deshaun Watson as their quarterback than they did with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco made a couple of throws that got everybody up in awes, but he was very flawed as far as the amount of times he was turning the football over. And if it was Deshaun Watson that was turning the football over at the rate that Joe Flacco was, he wouldn't have even been on that list. Nor would the Browns.